Okay, in this video, we're going to talk about how you can transform an existing landing page through vibe coding with your favorite LLM. In this example, I'm going to use ChatGPT. So let's jump into it. Let's say that I wanted to take this funnel right here, which looks kind of it's something I threw together for another video. And I wanted to make it just look a little bit more high-end, a little bit more premium. But let's say I'm not sure how to do that inside of the regular funnel builder, or I feel restricted by the tools that are available, the functionalities, whatever it is. We can do this super easily and let AI do all the heavy lifting. So what I am going to do is open up ChatGPT and let it know that we're going to do some vibe coding here. And what I do to transform a funnel is I just zoom out to the full section, and I like to go section by section. And I take a screenshot of the first section, and I put it into ChatGPT, and I'll say something like this. I want custom code that I can put into a GHL code element. This is key, right? I'm giving it context, letting it know that it needs to write the code in a way that I can input it into a Go High Level code element. So if you're on Wix or you're somewhere else, let it know what you're working with so it knows how to structure the code accordingly. And additionally, you can explain what you want. So in this example, I'm saying I want to create a much more high-end premium version of this funnel that feels more responsive and sexy. And this is really crucial. You need to give it the files of the assets that you want. So in this case, it's going to need my logo, it's going to need my video, and it's going to need my thumbnail, and it's going to need this image right here for the trusted by and featured at. Now, you don't even have to upload these images. You can actually just go into your media storage, at least with Go High Level. I go into my media storage, and I just grab the images I want. So let's say I want this logo right here. I'm going to go to the three dots, click Get Link, and I'm going to say, here's my logo file, and I'm going to paste that file in. Then I like to do a dash, and I say, here is my video file, and I'll do the same thing. All right, so I've given it the file links for everything. We're just going to double check. I have my logo, I have my video, I have my thumbnail, and I have this image here. And now what I'm going to do is go ahead and let it rip. So what this is going to do now is analyze everything, and it will start writing code in just a couple seconds here. All right, so here we go. Absolutely paste this into GHL custom code element, and as you can see, it started to write the code right now. The reason I go section by section versus doing the whole thing all at once is because it's much faster to go section by section, and it makes edits much easier. One issue when it comes to anything with code is that one change somewhere can break something somewhere else, so you want to be careful. I definitely recommend going section by section, so we're going to let this run, and then we'll see what it put out for us. Well, I let that run. Let's go ahead and we'll just go ahead and set up where we're going to build this. So here's my funnel page. You've got two options. You could create a new funnel step, or you could just do it in the A/B test version. Doesn't really matter. I'm going to go ahead and just do it here in the A/B test box, and we're going to use a blank page. And all we have to do is add in a code element for each section that we're going to code. So you can come in here, at least if you're on high level. And once it loads up our builder, you can just search for code, drag that in. You're going to click on the code element, and you're going to open the code editor. And once GPT gives us our code, we're just going to copy and paste it right in. So we can kind of see here as it goes, if we want, it's writing everything out. Here's all our copy. It's copying everything pretty much verbatim on our screenshot, which is exactly what we want. You want to be very specific. If there are copy changes or are tweaks, let's say, for example, we wanted to make this more in alignment with something like Donald Miller's story brand philosophy. I could say, tweak the copy to be more in alignment with story brand, or tweak the copy to do this, right? So the whole point of vibe coding is you can just tell it the vibe that you want, and then you can make really fast edits based on the output. So what I'll usually do is, well, it does its thing, because this takes a few minutes. It's probably going to take 5 or 6 minutes to write out. Well, it does it. I'll just open up a new tab, and I'll do other work, and then I'll check back when it's done. It's a great way to be doing multiple things at once. All right, so here we go. That took about 4 or 5 minutes. So you can say a few quick notes. Change the Get Blueprint button link from offer to your checkout order section. So that's one thing I actually forgot. I forgot to give it the link to where the button should go. And that's really important. So what I actually should have done is taken this link right here and directed it that this is where our checkout page is going to go. But that's fine. That's an easy edit. So what I'm going to do is just paste it in here afterwards, because I'm sure we'll have some other edits we're going to want to make. But now we're going to go and just paste this code in, and let's just actually see what kind of output it gave us and if it's any good. So we're going to go ahead and preview it. All right, so it looks a bit messy right now, but you can see overall the vibe is much more premium and much sexier. But the look here is way off, right? You got these big white bars, and this is super common when it comes to vibe coding. Depending on the tool that you're vibe coding with, or more so where you're putting the code, like Go HighLevel, for example, defaults to having these wrappers on each side. So what I do next is I take a screenshot. I always leverage screenshots because it makes everything easier. And I'm going to put that in. I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to say, great start. We need to remove the white wrappers from GHL on all sides. Link CTA button 2. And make sure this looks clean on desktop and mobile versions. So we're going to go ahead and give it that feedback. And again, right, if I wasn't recording a video, what I would do here is I would just let that run, and I would go ahead and work on my other project in another tab, and then come back and check it every few minutes, and once it's ready, I'll just continue with this process. So let's see what it comes up with after these edits. What I also like to do is just right away come back to the code that I had, and you can either delete it individually or you can just delete the whole thing and add in a new code and just get that ready so it's primed when you're ready to paste your new code in. One other note to be wary of: sometimes when you ask for edits, especially let's say everything looks good, but you say, I want to tweak something on one specific thing. So I want to tweak this video thumbnail, or I want to tweak the video play button, right? A lot of times with minor things like that, it will output just a section of the code, because in your full code, there's that video section. So it'll say, just update this section with this new code. Unless you know exactly where to put that, and if you knew that, you probably wouldn't need to be doing this anyway, or you'd have some understanding of code. I don't really. So I'm not confident enough to go and find that section and make sure it's pasted in right, knowing that if one thing's off, it'll break the whole thing. So I always ask it for any edits to give me the full updated code. So if it spits out just a partial, or it spits out something new and you put it in and everything looks broken, it probably was a partial. Make sure for any edits that you say, always give me full updated code. All right, so we've got our updated code here. I'm going to go ahead and copy it. We're going to go back to our code window. We're going to paste it in, and we're going to preview it. And let's see if it looks any better. All right, so we're moving in the right direction, right? But there's still some stuff here that's quite off. For example, like these things are overlapping. Those look a little bit wonky. The logo, I don't know what's up with this bubble around it. So again, we're just going to zoom all the way out here, and I'm going to go ahead and take another screenshot, and I'm going to give it additional edits. So as you can see, this is a process of going back and forth, but it's still way faster than doing this yourself or having to pay somebody to code it, at least cheaper. So it's still a great way to go, because you can just give it the updates, go work on something else, circle back, and then once the page looks good or the section looks good, you move on to the next page. So let's give it some updates and see what it comes up with. All right, so I went through and I gave it all of my updated edits. Now, one main issue here when it comes to AI and vibe coding is that the AI will tend to try to over-engineer or go a little bit rogue, right? So basically, it added in a bunch of content and different things that I didn't originally have. So what I did is I came back here and I let it know that we're getting closer, but there's still a ways to go. We need to remove XYZ. And I let it know that basically the idea here was not to redesign the whole thing. It was to take the current design and make it look more premium. And I let it know that it nailed the premium look, but it added in content and it's over engineering. So what I want it to do is stick to the original screenshot that I gave it while keeping that premium look. So as you can see, it's a bit of a conversation back and forth between you and the LLM. And one thing I've also noticed is that sometimes it's almost like the LLM has a good day and it nails everything. Other times it's like it has a bad day. If you're really hitting a wall or stuck on something, just move to a new chat and that usually solves it. Also, I typically do all of these inside of my dedicated project. So since this is one of my Market with Mark sites, I'm here in my Market with Mark project. So I can keep everything kind of under that one Market with Mark project brain as I build out. All right, we've got our latest version back, so we're going to go ahead and copy. We're going to head back to our builder. And I ignored my own advice and didn't prep the code element, but it's all right. Go ahead and paste that in, save it, go ahead and preview it, and let's see if we're closer. All right, so we can see here we're closer in some regard and further in others, right? So what I like to do is just zoom out, and I'm going to go ahead and we're going to give it another pass here. So this is usually about the point where I start to get a little annoyed because I'm like, all right, you are taking this simple task and you're overcomplicating it, right? So I'm very clear with the LLM. I'm like, listen, we've taken a simple request and you're overcomplicating and over-engineering it. Here's my final round of edits. We need to get this right so we can move on to the next section. Because at this point, we spent about 10 minutes on this one section, which still isn't that much time for a section that's going to come out looking like this does. But again, we want to move faster here. So don't be afraid to just give honest feedback to the LLM. It is a conversation back and forth. And as you get better with your prompts and as the LLM gets a little bit better, things can move smoother. But again, we still need to keep it in perspective. We're having this LLM do all the work coding everything for us, and we could just go work on another project in the meantime. All right, we've got our updated code. I'm going to go ahead and copy it in. And let's see what we got here. We're going to go ahead and preview. All right, so this is looking a lot better. I like the responsiveness here. I like the overall look and feel much better. I still don't love this big gap right here at the top, but instead of fighting with GPT to remove that, all I'm going to do is take my section, go to styles here in HighLevel, and I'm just going to move the margin a little bit. And we're going to preview that. And we can see now we've got less space, but I think I still want to move the margin even a little bit more. We'll go ahead and preview it again. And now we've got our updated section right here. Much better. All right, so here's kind of our old. Here's our new. I think overall this looks much cleaner, much more high-end. I like the responsiveness, so now what I could do is move on to my next section and just go on and build that out. So what I'm going to do is just do the same thing off camera, and then I'll show you what I come up with. All right, so I just gave the LLM all the details here, basically the screenshot, told it to link to the same CTA, and I gave it this image. So all I'm going to do inside of GHL is just come in here, click the blue plus, and we're going to add a new code element, and we're going to put our new code in here once it's ready to go. So this was a much shorter section, a much easier lift. So this one only took just a couple seconds. So I'm going to go ahead and just paste it in, and we'll preview once again. Oops, exited the preview. Here we go, preview again. And you know, this just doesn't really look really much different at all. It pretty much looks the same. So what I would tell GHL is I'd go back and say, listen, or GPT, listen, like this doesn't really look any different. I want it to look XYZ. But we could go on forever vibe coding. I think that this section looks way better than this original section. It definitely looks much more premium. It definitely looks much cleaner. It's much more condensed. So point being here, even though it can be a bit of a struggle back and forth, you can still improve existing landing pages or build completely new landing pages from scratch using an LLM as simple as ChatGPT, and just let it run while you're doing other work in the background. Using Claude, ChatGPT, Lovable, other AI tools to do my vibe coding and my builds for me has been able to allow me to do 10x more work in half the time. It's truly changed the game for me. If you found the video to be helpful, go ahead and give it a like. If you have any questions, leave them down below. I've got a link in the description with free resources. If you're interested in more GHL, meta ads, vibe coding content, consider subscribing. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time. Peace.